Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's Adobe Live Education Edition. My name is Ann Cosma. I'm one of the education evangelists here at Adobe, and I'm coming to you live from Southern California. And I'm really excited because today we're talking about how to power up your projects using Adobe Express and Wakelet. There's a brand new integration, and I have a good friend and Adobe for Education innovator, Judy Blakeney, here today.
I am so excited to be here with you, Anne, and I'm grateful to see this integration come to life. I've been using Wakelet, I don't know, 5, 6 years, maybe longer, since 2018, I think. And to see these new product integrations, especially Adobe Express,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I know it is kind of wow. And the cool thing is, it's like the full Adobe Express integration, and folks have access to so many things to design, to create, to showcase really truly beautiful visuals using the Adobe Express integration inside of Wakelet. And Judy, we're jumping in today, but before we do, tell us a little bit about you. You're just down the freeway from me in Southern California. You live up over the hill from my sister, so I always shout hello when I'm going by your area. But tell us a little bit about you and your journey as an educator.
I am a middle school CTE teacher currently. I have multiple different hats that I've worn over about 20 years in education. I've been I've taught preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school. I've been an instructional coach, and now back at the middle school, which I really love, is a high leverage area. And so I teach at Marco Forster Middle School, which is Capistrano Unified in San Juan Capistrano, the south end of Orange County, which is almost at the San Diego line. And I would say, a creative educator. I've been an Adobe innovator since 2017, I've been an Adobe innovator since 2022, and a Google innovator prior to that. So I love trying out new things and seeing use cases
Yeah.
for them, and kind of um, tend to be ahead of the curve. So I'm excited to be right at the curve breaking right here. It's like a wave crashing, the
I
wakelet
love it.
crash, lifting us up with Adobe Express together.
That Wakelet wave and the innovation power of Adobe combined, it's an epic combination. So, I know you and I both have used Wakelet for a long time. You have shared previously in your work with our organization here in California called Q, curating Twitter chats. I remember Tosa Chat back in the day. We would curate content, but in the classroom, don't give away all your ideas yet. But in the classroom, give us a sneak peek as to one way you have used the two of these tools together, because we're going to jump in and talk about not only the integration and share what it looks like, how you can use Adobe Express inside of Wakelet, what the user interface looks like, but we're also going to share epic ideas from you and from fellow Adobe for Education innovators, and share a really cool AI resource today too for folks who are all about generating custom images and designs to support their curricular or content area. So give us a sneak peek. What's one way you use these tools together?
So back in the day, I would just curate like back to school information, the presentation for anybody who wasn't there, what have you. And fast forward to currently, I did a training this past 2 weeks, and I was able to create from the training, create all of the resources, the shared resources, and put it in one place, and then generate an image as the cover of the topic,
I
which
love
was
it.
coding for girls using the codeart.org
That's awesome.
resources.
That's
So it's kind
awesome.
of like from 0 to 60. It's really come a long way, and I know that I haven't even explored half of the possible use cases. So I'm excited about doing that this school year.
But you know what you can do with Adobe Express, and those possibilities are limitless. And so the way that you can use Adobe to create and design content, partnered with, you mentioned CTE. I know you do a lot of work to support multilingual learners. I'm looking in the chat. I see some friends in the chat. Y'all say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Have you tried this new integration with Wakelet and Adobe Express? But Judy, let's go ahead and share our screen. Paco, if you want to pull that up. I'm just sharing the blog as we kick off and talk about this awesome epic integration between these two tools. You will see that the Wakelet and Adobe Express integration literally can take creativity to the next level. So this was the announcement that came across from the blog, and it talks a little bit about what the integration is. And I love this that these two tools literally can enhance creativity and visual storytelling in the classroom. And I love the full design power of Adobe Express inside of Wakelet. So you can use those robust design features without even leaving the Wakelet platform if that's what you desire. You can create those professional quality visuals with Adobe's intuitive tools, digital portfolios, presentation, learning resources. And Judy, I love this because like when I was a coach in my district, I always said every click matters. So the workflow, the creative workflow for educators and students is totally streamlined. There's information on how the integration works, but let's jump in and actually show it. Are you okay if I push all the buttons and play to learn?
Let's go.
Awesome. So
Let's take off.
take off, right? Folks, I'm navigating into my Wakelet account and you'll see I actually have a couple Wakelet accounts, my personal ones, professional ones, a previous one. And this is one that I started just to kind of curate some resources. And you'll see my push all the buttons. It's a saying I love to share because that's how I play to learn. And then I have one called Adobe Creative Innovators we'll get into in just a moment. But it's as simple as starting a collection. If you're brand new to Wakelet, you can find that information simply by navigating to that site. But Judy, I'm going to launch my Adobe Creative Innovators. You probably can tell I use the Gen AI tool inside of Adobe Express to design my cover image. But what's really cool is what you see at the top. You can launch their apps and notice right there, Adobe Express is literally the choice right there for how to create and how to launch the tool. Are you ready? Let's literally like launch it and watch
Take
how.
off.
Yeah. And there it is. And you see Adobe Express literally launching. And I'm going to take a slow stroll through the platform for folks who are new. Adobe Express is that literally creativity tool that you have access to not only design, content, video creation, captioning, editing, removing backgrounds using generative AI. And then we also have Adobe Express for Education, which is the K-12 platform, free for K-12 and curated as a resource for educators. Educators and students, actually. And so I want to share the left side of this tool is how you would navigate through this. Finding templates. Yeah, jump in. I see you.
So when I was looking at it when I was making a collection yesterday or the day before, and when we come up to this, it goes straight to generate template, which is if you're going to put more than one page or a template. But I went down to media on the left-hand side, and then you can generate an image. So if I wanted to generate an image about a topic, I would pick the size. There she goes.
Let's get
And then you can pull the corners to make it bigger, and you can type in. And we're going to talk about image generation strategies a little bit later. What do you want to create, Anne?
Kick us off. So let's say you're teaching a particular subject. I don't know, I'm feeling science as an example today.
Okay.
So if I'm talking about creating a different
How about life cycles or
I'm just going to do something simple like create a science classroom.
okay, there you go.
Oops, can I type and talk at the same time?
Would you put an age level in there?
I'm just going to say create a lively science classroom.
Okay, nice.
With students actively learning.
Excellent.
So let's see what happens. All right. And folks, this is really fun because you can create, curate, customize your own imagery to match. And oh my gosh, I love this. It looks like there's some experiments going on. This one's fun. Reminds me of maybe some of my chemistry classes. I love the mix of this natural lighting and students, engaging. So I don't
And
know.
then, well, I just want to, since we're here,
Yeah,
and you said push all the buttons,
I
I just
love
want to
it.
show you, like on the content type drop down,
Yep.
you can pick different content types of what it's going to look like. You could add above that different styles.
Yep.
You have reference images if you had something you want it to look like. Maybe you take a picture of your classroom. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of options as you start learning to um, push the buttons. You can add more comments or like, let's say your classroom is the school colors. You want to add those in to the prompt box up top, just in the generate image
Yeah.
prompt.
Yeah.
So
You
all
can
sorts
also
of things.
leverage like branding is one aspect of Adobe Express that folks sometimes put in their school colors, their school logos, if they have a custom font they choose to use. So this is just a quick, simple example of how to launch immediately and get into the product. I love that you called out how folks can use the style, composition, reference images. And we have a resource we're going to share to talk about this, but this is one of those quick ways to just get in. And Judy, before I click save an app, I want to just call out some things on the screen to help folks familiarize themselves with like all of the creative design elements. Resizing photos or, choosing your own custom size, themes, animation, background color, the safe zone of posting, alignment, replacing, translating. Along the left rail and along this bar right here, you will see all of the different editing options. And because we're generating an image and we created this, active learning science classroom, I could go up and I could customize my prompt. I could go back and I could continue to generate. I'm going to click one more time and continue to generate and see if we can get some new images. But the possibilities really are endless. And again, you have this full aspect of, oh, hey, look at that. That looks like a, a
College, high
traditional,
school.
yeah, like a traditional lecture style, maybe classroom, but this like super interesting, massive display,
I like
right?
that.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of cool. But I'm gonna just click save an app and notice you have different file formats you can choose from. I'm just checking, clicking one of those, and then I've generated immediately the picture that can get added into my Wakelet collection, and it will automatically post in there. So again, folks, it's as simple as either creating a collection or when you have a collection, coming to the Wakelet apps chooser and choosing Adobe Express. So create, design from scratch, use a template, edit and save immediately. You literally can find all of the Adobe Express content. Like I said, templates, images, infographics. It sparks creativity, but saves a ton of time. Judy, every click matters, right?
Yes, and that's what while you were going through that, sometimes when you interact with a program, it's hard to figure out. It's not intuitive. And I feel like the interface for Adobe Express is pretty directly right there. And once you click a few buttons and practice a few skills,
Yep.
just like knowing that you would go to media to find generate an image, or you could use different templates. There's tons and tons of templates. So that's really great too.
Yeah, and that's what I just pulled up and I typed in biography. So you mentioned CTE, and I think of, friends of mine who are science and maths, in terms of subjects of what they're teaching. I'm a former first grade teacher, and then I was a K-8 innovation coach. So the really cool thing is you literally could search for any general topic or use the filters to dial down into your custom grade level content area, curricular area. I chose this one as a famous people in history, and then you literally have all of the design elements that are already included in the template. I'm just scrubbing through the layers, but then you begin to customize with your own content, text boxes, etc. So,
And
um,
one other thing I want to just
yeah,
add here is this is a great on-ramp for students to understand those layers and how to create digital media,
yeah,
which is in the more advanced Adobe products.
yeah.
for high school and beyond. They already know how it works. So that is a big boost for their creativity and their skill sets.
I love it. It's building creative confidence, right? Like, I love that. So, um, I know we dropped the link to the blog in the chat, so thanks to the team for adding that in. But again, if you're brand new, if you're familiar with Wakelet or you're new for Wakelet, think of it as this custom collection, a curation, and across education, folks are using it in so many different capacities, professional development portfolios, departments curating resources and sharing. Students are, curating content for a book report or a digital science fair, college application portfolios. That was one of the earliest ways that I learned about Wakelet, was like people curating portfolios in their classes. But it's a really cool way to kind of learn about like curating content. And it just, to me, I'm so happy that you have access to Adobe Express inside of Wakelet. And we clicked a few buttons. I'm going to cancel this example. And I'm in my Adobe Creative Innovator collection right now. But Judy, the way we started was to spark ideas, right? And I want to spark a few more ideas because you literally, everybody's talking about AI and generative AI. And I love that Adobe Express for Education has curated this tool to be a responsible way to generate, imagery, custom imagery. And there is a really, 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 really cool resource my teammate Shell shared. And I want to share this with you all right now. And we're going to take a little while to dig into this and talk about text to image tips as you're using these tools. And maybe you're generating images inside of Wakelet, or maybe you're using your Adobe Express for Education account, or maybe you're even, outside of EDU and just kind of learning new ways to generate imagery. So Shell McConville, my incredible teammate, made this resource. And
Here comes the reveal.
yeah, well, get ready for this, and we'll get it shared, and I'll be sure to get it shared out. Um, these are text to image tips. And Judy, I don't know if you have like a best practice for generating images. Like when you're doing this with your students, what do you say to them about creating content?
Well, we've done a lot of practice, and I saw earlier versions of this from Shell, but it wasn't so clear. The subject background style is a great um, concept: who, where, how, or who, what, how,
Okay.
or like if you those five W's and the H, or four W's and
What,
the
when, where,
H
how? Yeah.
that we used to talk about. But I like the subject is who, kind of, and the background is where are they?
Yep.
What does it look like?
Yep.
And the secret sauce is really the style.
Yeah.
And so she has created all of these different not created, she's identified and uses all sorts of different cartoon things. So I have, I think, a blog about doing this, and I did this with my students last year. I had a ELD 2, which is right after newcomer. And I had them starting out to create their own images, and then we created images in different styles. And then, as you see here, you could do it and practice and see what they look like.
Yeah.
As well as if you had maybe even a science topic with the otters down there, and you
Well,
could.
so I want to jump in on your idea of starting with a self-description. So whether it's a newcomer who's, practicing oral language fluency or language acquisition, or a self-description to help not only see and honor and celebrate and recognize each unique, diverse individual in a learning classroom. A self-description is a fun way to get started. I'm thinking it's August 1. There's a lot of folks with a back to school mindset right now, especially in North America, as a lot of schools are getting ready to start up in the next couple of weeks. Some schools have already started for this back to school year. But look at these examples on camera. So she has like a 16-bit retro video game style. This is like this, 8-bit, 16-bit, a little bit more of that granular. This is so cool. A 3D adorable cartoon doll style. I've used a cartoon doll for many different examples, anime or flat art or this isometric. And you're noticing she's using the same prompt, joyful purple haired girl at a coffee shop, but she's changing the style. And it's this brilliant way to kind of explore the design elements or how the output can completely change, right? And you just mentioned the otter, this text, an otter playing in a river surrounded by tall pine trees in the summertime. True confession here, I didn't know what voxel was until I saw this reference. So, this voxel style, low poly style, pencil watercolor, vintage newspaper, hyper realistic photo style. This is a really cool way for teachers. They could use this resource and actually have students use the same prompt, but generate in different styles to change elements of the imagery or even help them with language description, details, prompting, creative writing, digital storytelling. I mean, you know that we could go on and on and on with
Right.
everyone this fits into our content.
Yeah, I had what I did is I set up starter images with
Oh,
each
cool.
image. I didn't have them have the same description, but then I had students go in and change using the style. But I
Yeah,
really like the elevation of it that you can see those three parts,
yeah,
kind of like the subject, a description of the background, and the style.
I love it.
Um, and it would be nice to, and the other thing about these prompts, and then you gave an intimation of it, but the language can be variable. It's just mind blowing
Yeah.
because you could have a student describe in English, you
Mhm.
could have a student describe in Spanish. You could mix languages from
Yeah.
different, like some Spanish, some English,
Mhm.
and still come out with images that are recognizable or to them. And then if it's not what they want, they have to learn to revise their language to make it more specific, to add more details.
Yeah.
And so for me, this simple self description becomes very powerful when they see the power of language and the importance of being able to express yourself.
You just hit the nail on the head. The importance of being able to express yourself and truly celebrating authentic voice. And that looks different and it sounds different and it feels different for everybody. And some people express themselves visually or, audibly or with spoken language or dance or art or sign language. Everybody communicates in different ways and I love that, but the way to kind of like honor everybody's own unique creative elements too, they're able to prompt in their own words in their chosen language. And even if it's like a mishmash, I think of my good friend Feli Garcia Lopez, and she switched between Spanish and English all the time, and spoke Spanglish a lot of the time, and it's this beautiful thing. But it comes back to me, authentic voice, right? And I love that. Now, okay, Judy, we could have a whole episode just about student voice, and so let's put a pin in that for a moment because I want to keep going through this resource. And you referred to this earlier, so you talked about the style guide and the style reference and the composition reference. And folks, when you're using the generate image inside of Adobe Express, you create your prompt. You simply describe what you want to see. But you'll notice those reference images that you have the ability to add in, you literally can click to upload your reference. And I want to talk about what these are a little bit, Judy. I don't use them all the time, so I kind of am assuming they're a little bit underutilized sometimes. But these are two additional opportunities that unlock even greater possibility for your students. So the style reference, you see this example right here. It allows you to keep all of the generated art in a specific style or theme. And you'll see it in just a moment. This like natural element, the example that's coming up, you see Shell put in this style reference. The composition reference we'll see after that allows folks to use the shapes and lines from one image to build new ones with the generative AI. So let's go into that style reference right now, okay? Here is the artwork that was uploaded as a style reference, and you see it's this like character, something made out of plants. It looks like it's this natural element, right? A happy dog made out of plants, high quality running shoe, a guitar made out of shrubbery and flowers, a gorgeous castle made out of bushes, plants, flowers, and vines. Like, how cool is this to see how one style can simply transform with all of the generative AI?
That's amazing. Yeah, I haven't used it as much as I will in the future. I know that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, check out the composition reference too, because Shell used this drawing by a very talented 11-year-old. She has an awesome family, some very creative kids, if you don't know. This was uploaded as a composition reference. So the minifig covered in shrubbery and wildflowers, made of red gelatin, made out of water, made out of cardboard and crayons. But notice the composition, those lines, it's all that minifigure. So that aspect stays the same, even though the other bits are completely transformed. I've not done much with composition reference.
No, I haven't either. And I think it's especially I teach graphic arts as part of my career technical education. And I think one of the greatest things about Adobe Express is models.
Yeah.
And scaffolding, as she had said in this. So once students can have ideas, but they don't know how to get here from here to there.
Yeah.
And this gives them some steps or some approaches or some imagery on what to do. So this is really lovely.
Yeah. Okay, so this is another one. You talked about scaffolding, and I come back to this. So I was a first grade teacher. I used a lot of teaching charts. I used a lot of sentence stems and frames to help students as they were developing that grammar and syntax and really practicing, like speaking with oral language fluency, not only to support our English learners, but every student. And the scaffolding and the way that you can go back and iterate on a prompt is phenomenal. And this right here, I love this because it aligns so much to my mantra, push all the buttons and play to learn. But right here, giving students the opportunity to play and explore. I'm seeing some comments in the chat like, yeah, this is awesome. Totally good to see these examples. That Lego minifig. Thanks for the comments in the chat, folks. The like crafting of a successful prompt is that iterative process. So look at right here, a dark and stormy night, right? And it goes into a dark and stormy night with a house, a dark and stormy night with an old Victorian house, flickering candles in the window, and a path leading to the front door. A messy smeared charcoal sketch of a dark and stormy night with an old Victorian house, flickering candles, a window, and a path leading to the door. And a dark, moody, messy smeared charcoal style. And the same prompt as it develops. This right here, I think would be a great exercise also to help folks craft what they want for their intended design or the way they're using AI and the generative images to match whatever it is they're working on.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time last year teaching just expanded sentences. So we would start with who, the subject, what they're doing, how they're doing it, where they're doing it, and in with whom or in what way. So yeah. I think it what I love is it's like this sneaky, beautiful, rewarding
Yeah.
process of, again, showing the power of knowing and using language,
Yeah.
and that it's important to develop um, much description and to because you get rewarded
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
And the second part of it is some um, some students, some teachers, some whoever, all of us might just like to be one and done. Okay, I did it, check the box. And then this teaches that the value of iteration and
Yeah.
revision, and that you're never done. You're always making it better.
Yeah. Well, I love that idea. You're always making it better. And I think as we continue to level up our own skills as educators and folks as learning leaders in a community, that's what we want for our students too. We want them to celebrate the journey of learning and be lifelong learners, and we're lifelong learners. And that's why folks are tuning in. I see Michael Wesley in the chat right now. Hi, friend. So like there are just endless opportunities to continue to learn, and I think that's why a conversation like this today, where we're talking about the tools and best practices and showing button clicks. But I'm just going to do a slow scroll through the rest of this, from not only like FAQs to like text to image classroom use. Let's wrap here, Judy, and then jump into more examples from our innovators of how the Wakelet Adobe Express integration can be used together. But I love this because these are some ideas. Yeah, share, share,
I
share.
don't, just so you know, I don't see the chat in the Adobe Live. I just see the Zoom chat.
Oh, okay. So I have just off screen, I have my phone with the YouTube chat so that I
Okay.
can see. Yeah.
Oh, you're so
So,
smart.
you know,
I
it's
didn't
pushing,
figure that step
it's
out.
it's pushing all the buttons and
That's
doing
it.
all
There
the
you go.
things. So yeah.
Still
So
learning.
yeah, folks in the chat, let us know, like, do you have an epic prompting tip, or as you're helping your students learn how to use generative AI responsibly, the way that Adobe Express for Education is built with the safeguards for education, the filtering for K-12. I love these examples. Creating visual representations of how you're feeling, right? That could be 3 in a series, just like on screen. Visuals of emotions, fictional animals, and labeling or describing their adaptations. I saw Amy Storer do this, and it was creating a brand new animal, hybrid animal, creating a habitat for their animal, and then think about how that sparks such scientific vocabulary, higher levels of thinking and critical thinking, but also what a fun way to give students the opportunity to leverage the new knowledge and content awareness they have with a very creative workflow to like lock it into their brain, right? Do you have one on this scene or in this list, Judy, that you might think is
Um,
pretty cool?
uh, I think they did the fictional animal
Yep.
with or mixing of two animals. That was a guided activity.
Yeah.
That was really fun for students, and they enjoyed that. We did a lot. In my um, career technical education CTE class that focuses on web design, social media, graphic design. So we did lots and lots of explorations,
Oh, cool.
and that their favorite Stuffy was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
They like that. But I think the thing is the it's like vocabulary. The more you try different options, the better of a knowledge base you develop for yourself, and confidence,
Yeah.
that creative confidence.
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Clark, I see you in the chat. I have to share this. World-changing invention is how our 6th graders will be starting off the year. So imagine that. Like there's so many opportunities for what folks can create, how they could leverage this. I love this. I love this reimagine literary characters. I think Jessica Campos, I think it was Jessica Campos who recently shared a Romeo and Juliet example of two literary characters, but partnering with a social media viral moment that recently happened, and how you could like partner a retelling of a story or a response to literature or connecting literature to real life. There's so many opportunities. So just to leave y'all with a few of these, and then let's jump back into some more ideas. From action figures to plastic dolls, sewn felt. I had never even considered that until I saw this resource. Play-Doh, clay style, sketchbook art, backlit, split world. Here's another wool felted, axonometric. Wow, these are like vocabulary words I'm not familiar with, but this photorealistic bubble. Y'all, this is a phenomenal resource. I know the link was shared in the chat, adobe.ly/genai-resource. I share that link across my socials all the time. Find me on there. I will repost it when I reshare a playback of this video. But it's a phenomenal resource. And then, of course, even suggestions of how to create your own avatar. So, Judy, thanks for taking like a rabbit trail with me down this resource, because I think it's so phenomenal. And every chance I get, I talk about this resource, especially as so many people are leveraging Adobe Express and the generative AI to give students those creative pathways to customize content and find ways to really truly transform what they're sharing in relation to the curricular areas of study. So I'm just slowly scrolling back up to the top. And y'all, thanks for going on that deep dive with me. But Judy, you ready for some more ideas?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right, so I'm on this one. I want to come back into my Adobe Creative Innovators Wakelet collection. And we generated that example, and then we have the blog linked in there. But I want to actually pop this into full screen mode, because check this out. We have a really awesome Adobe Express for Education Innovator right here in the live stream. You, my friend, and you shared this idea about using Gen AI to empower multilingual learners, blend student voice and language, share resources, and remixable templates. Speak to this, and we'll go through the other examples from innovators, and then we'll jump into your collection. How's that sound?
that sounds great. Well, I was asked by a friend and colleague, Kat Goyette, who is in the computer science lead at State of California, and they had had received requests for people to present on the topic of using Gen AI or AI with multilingual learners. And I think they had a series of 3 different meetings. And I was in the first one, I think it was May 13th. And in that presentation, which I considered myself as like the lead up to the person who was after me, whose name I'll have to think of. What I just talked about what I'd been doing with my students, and how I'd used generating images in a variety of ways. So we started at the very simple,
Okay.
which was, who am I? What do I look like? And then later in the year, we had multiple attempts at various personal activities. We got into we did one about giraffes, and then we did because we read something about a giraffe, and then we wrote like a 5-paragraph essay together, and they generated all the images that went with the giraffes and the various paragraphs. And then finally, I had created a story. Most of my students, probably 99%, were from Latin American countries. So I sought a story on Borreguita, and which is the little lamb and coyote. So, which is a very well-known Mexican tale. And I had, I'm not sure which generator create the story, broke it into paragraphs, and then I had them create all of the images that went with this story. so in the process, I talked about how I had used it. And really, we started simple. We started at home. And
Mhm.
then when they gained more confidence, then we started ramping up. And one of the stories that I was most impactful for me is when I had a student who really struggled with English, struggled with spelling, asked me to spell every word at the beginning of the year, wouldn't write anything. And then at the end of the year, when we were creating this maybe 10 slide thing, it was in Google, it was in, not Google, it was in Adobe Express. And they had to bring a paragraph in, generate the image for like 10 slides. He did
Oh,
it in
cool.
one day.
Oh my gosh, that's rad.
Yes, I asked, well, can you do a different one or something like that? And he says, well, that was so easy. I know how to work in Adobe Express. So sort of that individual confidence at the beginning of the year being so reticent and feeling like you're always going to be wrong and to like, I'm empowered, I can do it, I'm confident. And so, that's like the real story.
Yeah.
But in the process of being creative, using language, um, having a story that was meaningful to them. I had done a previous story about animals that was not related to their culture. So I think all of those things in a nutshell tells what the possibilities that I don't think I've even touched yet.
Yeah. Wow. The word possibilities makes like a teacher heart just beat out of our chest, right? And I mean anybody. I think that they want that for anybody, not just educators, but seeing that creative confidence grow and knowing that it aligns so beautifully to like the acquisition of new knowledge or a new skill that's really foundation setting for that particular student to grow on, especially as they develop their language and speaking skills in a new language. Oh my gosh, like that's one of those like, oh my gosh, all the feels kind of experiences. Thank
Yeah,
you. Wow.
thank you. And I really did have like a open reflection with him at the end of the year, talking about his progress this year because he worked hard in various academic things to build language. But I said, do you remember what it was like at the beginning of the year and how you acted? And do you know how much you've grown and how you're doing things confidently now? So the metacognitive part was also an opportunity for him to really lock in and celebrate. Hey, I have grown. I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's like the most, like if I could just bottle that,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
miracles, miracle sauce.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay,
I
let's
go.
go into another example. This is from an awesome teacher librarian, library media specialist, Deb Zeman in South Texas. I don't think South Texas, Central Texas. Texas is a big state. I don't know why I said South Texas. She's up, not in South Texas, and I know that. So, as a library media specialist, Deb has inspired for years, and she does this thing called First Line Friday, and I love this. She takes the first line of a piece of literature. The students take the first line out of a book, out of that piece of literature, and they're creating videos inside of Adobe Express. So not only the full video aspects, video creation, you also have all those animated characters that could be used. It's a one-stop shop to share resources created in Adobe Express and housed in a Wakelet collection. So teachers and students can go back and see all the resources that are being shared. So creative output, celebration of authentic reading lives, connecting to literature in so many ways, curating resources. Did I already say that? Sharing, celebrating, showcasing learning. This is phenomenal. Have you ever heard of a First Line Friday? I think that's
I
super
think
cool.
it's a great idea.
Yeah. So if you're watching this or on playback and you're love to read or celebrate literature in your own classrooms, you could do this. Share it with your favorite library media specialist. Try it too. Deb, thank you so much for this awesome idea.
Great
Um,
one.
Alfredo Silva, he's just down the road from me Kid you not, literally like 5 miles. And so we sometimes get to see each other IRL, which is so cool. But Alfredo's not only an incredible educator out of high school in Southern California, but also as an instructional coach. And I know he does a ton of collections, curations, collaborations on a global scale. And the cool thing is the way that he's talking about Wakelet, but the creative power of Adobe. Alfredo, these are all Adobe innovators who are sharing these ideas. Those collaborations with other classrooms, schools, states, and even countries, the asynchronous but creative problem solving and presentations. I love that Alfredo is passionate about finding a real world problem and connecting students to talk about solutions to those problems. They share resources and curate ideas and content with Wakelet, and then bring it into bigger global discussions and the ability to reflect on those processes. So the creative elements designed and shared, or the creative reflections, or the video content that's being shared. It's such a beautiful connection of the two tools in the way that he's really fostering global collaboration. I love this example from Alfredo.
That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing to think too. Like, I know you know this. I know this learning is not contained to four walls of a classroom. So thank you, Alfredo, for sharing that idea. Stevie Frank, another incredible innovator, podcasting. Student podcast is a really, really big thing, and leveraging the power of video and audio for students to talk about their learning or share their learning. Students are using the Adobe Express integration inside of Wakelet to create their own thumbnails for their podcasts. And I thought that was a super fun thing that all of the video content or the audio content could be shared through Wakelet, but the custom imagery for each student podcast and the unique topics they're talking about, epic. Judy, if you were to launch a student podcast, what do you think? What do you think you would create for your thumbnail?
Oh, let's see. Well, I have this book that I like. I can't now. I'm going to not be able to bring it back. It's George Koros, and it's about a teacher. And I've always thought about doing one about a school, or about and to make it about the students, the family, the custodians, the uh, community members. And so the image would have to be representative of all of those people together at the school. That's kind of how I would generate an image.
I love that. I love it. To me, so much goes back to community, but the concept of learning with and from each other and the better together mindset, I love it. Jessica Campos, this is a great one. Not only was she wrapping the school year, but again, as folks are getting set to go back to school, classroom newsletters. It's a brilliant way to curate information, but have those custom imagery, whether it's like a section header or a visual representation or that infographic or the how do I, contact information, or all about the teacher in a classroom or school newsletter. Jessica, thank you for sharing this example. Let's go ahead and switch over. Judy, what I'm going to do is close out of this presentation, and I want to come back into your Wakelet right now. So you shared brilliant insights and beautiful ideas of how to support multilingual learners. Let me scroll down into that. So these are resources from that like CTE discussion that you said. Let me give this a quick refresh because I think my screen is trying to just automatically send me somewhere. So here we go.
This the top thing is the presentation, the Google
Okay.
Slides
Yeah, right here.
that I created with Efren Tovar. That's the other
Yeah,
presenter.
Efren.
He's so fantastic, and he just shared a lot. And so I talked about my Coyote and Borreguita images.
And I'm going to open these full screen too.
Right. And I think I'm pretty sure I grabbed student examples, not just my own examples. I'm not sure if it's going to roll through. This is, yeah, you might not have that many, but these were the images for each, like, of the 10 paragraphs, 11 paragraphs that they had to generate. I had just done like a Google slide that had the one page for the picture, one page for the paragraph, one page for the
Yeah.
picture paragraph. So, and then below, I think I have some notes about that. And then you see right above book creator there,
Yeah,
you
here
can,
are the notes
yeah.
too. So, okay, very cool.
So here is my initial version of kind of what Shell was talking about. This is using the different styles that I had, and I made a template for students. And then they had to, and I made all the pictures different topics because I didn't want any for girls or for just this is the boys, this is for the older people, this is the younger people. I wanted a variety. So this is a very early version, and I think I have a blog post that I had done about doing this that I did last year about these different styles, which is in a much more primitive state than Shell's thing. But it just was to show students that you could use those different styles, and then I tried to like tap into like I know in my school volleyball or I mean soccer is really big. So before girls and boys. So I like okay, I had to have a soccer one in a stadium, and I made it like with different colors, and just so students would have the language, and then they would remix it, rewrite it, so they have that scaffold, and not have to come up with something completely new on their own about what they're going to have a picture
That's
about.
cool. Well, I think it's fun to even like scroll through this and know, oh yeah, here's your blog that's listed out too. So,
And then the one stop right there
yeah.
above, just above that. So I had also done I think this might just be the presentation, but it's a presentation I did about this topic at Orange County Q. It was a virtual presentation about using text generation, how to set an image, how to look for resources. Very beginning, but it was, and again, kind of about that prompt. What are you going to put into it?
Yeah.
So the image was who, and then style. And I don't know that I had some background. Who doing what, holding what, in what style, wearing what, looking
Oh,
how.
this
So
is fun. I love that.
yeah.
Very cool. Well,
So
it's just awesome to see too the different examples of how educators are helping their students dig into these types of things. These are very cool, and you can
these are
see.
student examples. So this is kind of one of the beginning things that we did, and they took very different styles. We had some examples of doing things before, but what they like to do, and so you have some that are very like playful, doll style, and realistic,
I love
in different levels of English, different levels of writing. But everyone was, I mean, even if somebody doesn't capitalize and punctuate perfectly,
Yeah.
they're able to create incredible images. And I think that that's so empowering. You know, I look at Celestia's right there, and she likes to bake, and just she's absolutely gorgeous.
I love this. And what's cool is this is one of those templates that's a guided activity to create yourself as like a bobblehead. But notice it doesn't have to be a bobblehead, it could be a realistic picture or a comic style. So, Judy, these are awesome. And I'm slow scrolling through this because what folks are also seeing is a little bit more about what Wakelet is as this collection and a way to curate resources from slides to videos to Adobe content, blogs through links, etc. I love these visual examples. Sharing a doc, digging deeper into this. So, the examples of that creative self-portrait,
Right
the
here, where the expectation. This was our first one at the beginning of the year. This was with my ELD, and this was a student's. And I'm not sure if actually this might have been the template, and then they had to adjust what's the expectation, what should you be doing, what does this look and sound like, and what's an example.
I love it. Oh my
So,
gosh. I love
and
that. Set the expectation and help students be successful.
yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, friend, it's so cool. And time races by. I'm gonna just keep doing a quick slow scroll. This was another one that I love for the back to school. We'll share this real quick as Marco popped in, back to school. You can see, I think this is one of the stock images, right? And then you notice it's the ability to customize the content, personalize it to share their unique self. So, Judy, thanks for sharing this collection, but also showing so many ways that you're using Adobe inside of your classroom to truly empower student voice and give them those creative aspects. Folks, I will share the link to my resource out on socials. You'll find it on my LinkedIn. I'll put it in our Adobe Creative Educator Facebook page. I'll share it out on X, drop a link on Insta. But there are so many great resources here in the Adobe Live community. You can find our Education Edition playlist over on the YouTube page. But Judy, we've only got like a minute or two left, and what I want to do before folks are leaving is let me switch into my other profile real quick because I want to remind everybody of ways to get connected. And we have an Adobe Creative Educator community. We definitely are all about inspiring the next generation to be creators. And our Adobe Creative Educator Leader Program is a way for educators to get connected. And this is a resource. I'm doing the slow stroll through it, but I love these pages that can be created inside of Adobe. And we definitely would love folks to get connected. So as I scroll down, you can see why you should, beautiful examples. But the way to get connected is at adobe.ly/ACE signup. So feel free to jump in, folks. This is a great community to keep learning with and from each other. Because Judy, you know it, better together always.
That's right. Well, and this is a great starting spot, and you don't have to be a master. You don't have to be Leonardo da Vinci to paint. You just have to pick up the paintbrush and look at some colors, so and try it out. And I think learning by doing is what this Adobe Express uh, suite is all about. It's so intuitive, and students, no matter what their language level abilities, they're able to access these fantastic tools and become self-motivated learners.
You nailed it. Adobe Express, learning by doing. Folks, jump in, get connected. As we get ready to wrap, we want to say thank you for spending part of your day with us learning. There is great streaming coming up next. Get connected, stay tuned. Judy, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your ideas and celebrating how folks can power up their projects with Adobe Express and Wakelet. Folks, we're sharing a ton of back to school content, so get connected to us on the socials. Stay tuned. We've got great next up for Adobe Express for education coming soon. So, Judy, thank you. Folks, thank you. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.